second. Alright, Darren, so we just got finished with your open workout ahead of UFC 244. You're looking pretty thick. How's it not having to make the grueling cut down to 170? Because I know right around now you'd be measuring your macros and counting the calories and the amount of carbs you're taking in. How does your body feel for not having to do that so much?
I think there's just like a spring in my step. So like getting to this point now, I really wouldn't want to be in the gym not because I don't like it there, but because of the weight cut. Because I know I'd have to come on such low foods and I'd have no energy, but then I'd still have to go through a grueling session. So like I think now to explain it best is like a spring in my step. So like, you know, I'm eating well. I haven't wanted to like bulk up, I know I've got a little bit bigger, but I wanted to stay around what I'd walk around at for welterweight and then cut that to, you know, middle, a few kilos. So I just think there's a little bit more of a spring in my step. There hasn't been a day in this fight camp or even before where I've come not wanting to train because of past experiences. Like there's days where you're tired and you think I'm gonna have to get through this, but it's been for a different reason. Whereas the past 4 weight cuts were just all revolved around like the weight, and Colin's let off me as well a bit. Like, you know, Colin would be hard on me 24 hours a day, you know, obviously because he wants me to make weight, but Colin knows I know what's needed for fights and he knows I put the hours and the work in. So Colin's just been letting me turn up and he knows I do my extras, you know, after every session I'll run and stuff like that. So it is a little bit of a weight lifted off my mind.
And you say that you don't want to bulk up too much.
No.
A lot of fighters do make that mistake when they move up. Like I think Luke Rocco kind of made that mistake when they move up. Is speed going to be the key? Is this what you're looking for against Kelvin? Because obviously he's quite a small middleweight. He used to be a welterweight like yourself. Yeah,
I think if I can match these middleweights strength and size with speed, I think that gives me an advantage in that area. You know, I'll be faster than most, but Kelvin was a welterweight himself, so he's obviously already got the speed from that. So if I can carry on my speed and that from welterweight and movement, you know, I'm going to be faster than a lot of these guys. So it's never mattered to me. Colin said to me once about any man over 70 kilos should be able to defend himself against any other man, and I agree with that. So it's not necessarily about size and strength to me, it's about technique and speed, and that's what we're working on, and you know, to not make this, you know, just to go in there and have a good fight as well. That's what I want.
And obviously, when I first met you a couple of years ago, you talked about wanting to fight in big stages in combat sports. You're going to fight at one of the meccas, like the mecca of combat sports, Madison Square Garden. How does it feel to be coming in there where the venue where Muhammad Ali fought Joe Frazier and so many great boxing fights that?
It's just surreal, especially as well that the main event is a former opponent. A lot of people have asked me as well, what do I think of that? And you know, truthfully, from the heart, deep down, not one bit of like jealousy or being a green-eyed monster there. It's just pure, you know, I'm happy for Masvidal that he's got that main event spot, and it's true 100% for me. But you know, I'm there still coming, and you know, the card is the trash posters around New York has got my face on as well. So you know, it's like a joint venture there. I don't really know what to say. It's sort of like a ride at the moment. I'm not being able to say, even with the losses and the wins, it's just like this one mad ride. Like since 2017, I started getting back fighting in Sweden, you know, from a 2-year layoff. I don't really know what's going on in my life right now. It's just, you know, main event here, main event there, fighting this guy. I don't really know what to say. I think I'll probably appreciate it more when I haven't got it. I think that's what a lot of guys do. I don't think they really appreciate. I don't feel like I'm appreciating the moments as I should be now. So I feel like in a few years I will really sit back and appreciate, and I want it all there. You know, in a few years I want it to still be about this now. But I'm just going through this ride, and I'm enjoying it. Really am.
Kelvin possesses high knockout power, like yourself, heavy, intense style.
Sorry.
Did you?
It's freezing.
Yeah, it's cold.
Yeah, I'm freezing, mate.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, Kelvin possesses heavy knockout power, has a high intense style like yourself.
Yeah.
Did you expect to always end up throwing down with him, and what have you made of his career so far?
I you know, obviously the way the fight got made, but a lot of people keep saying about me having like big bollocks taking this fight, and I don't see it like that. Like where I come from and how, you know, how we train and how I am as a fighter mentality is, I'm here to fight the best, win or lose. I'm here to fight all these, you know, these tough fighters. I don't really understand the concept of the easier path or the easy fights. If that's what you want, maybe you should look at another career. You know, I'm coming off 2 losses and probably taking one of the most riskiest fights, not even in the middleweight division, in the whole of the UFC. So, you know, I can't say enough about Kelvin. I've got respect for him, but I'm going in there to prove my worth against him.
And you mentioned win or lose there. In a recent interview with BT Sport, you said, you know, if I do lose, so what? A lot of fighters won't even address the idea of the possibility of a loss. Do you think you doing that completely frees you up as an athlete in there?
Listen, you know, I may well lose. Could be another knockout. There's nothing really to say about that. Either it is or it isn't. If I know what I'm good at and I do it, Kelvin won't touch me. He just simply won't lay a glove on me. But then it could go the other way, and he could be victorious on that night. We'll just have to see. But yeah, you know, if it's a 3rd loss, you know, at least I didn't take the shitbag route. You know, I'm fighting the best, and I'm taking all the day. I tried to convince not to take the fight, and I just was like, why? So, you know, if it's another loss, which it won't be, so what?
You said if you win, you want the Anfield fight after that. Do you think, even though it's not been confirmed, do you see this fight as a #1 contenders fight for the middleweight belt?
Do you know what? I couldn't care less about the middleweight belt right now. I really couldn't. I just couldn't care. Whatever happens with Israel and Costa, whether Israel wins or loses, if I win against Kelvin, I feel like that's the fight to make Anfield. You know, and
regardless of the title fight, though, is Anfield just a legacy moment for you?
Yeah, whether the title's there or not. Listen, let all these top middleweights now, they've earned their right, let them chase the belt. I'm chasing something different right now. The belt will come within time. I've got to be very patient. I'm only 26. I'm co-main event in MSG, you know. I've got a lot of years left to give.
The way you carried yourself at welterweight was very imposing, because you always talked about making yourself seem bigger than you are in terms of the posture. Looking at you now with the added mass, do you feel like you're the most physically imposing man at middleweight?
I'd like to think so, yeah, but right now I just haven't really. I think the only thing I've been thinking about at middleweight is I wanna stay like a welterweight without the cut. So keep everything the same, keep me training the same. You know, I did recently start lifting weights, but when I say lift weights, it wasn't really lifting weights. I told the trainer, I said I don't want to get big. I said I don't want to be strong. I said I don't want to be walking around like I should be on Venice Beach or something. I said I just want to be a little bit stronger, you know, so I can hang with these guys when they're trying to go for takedowns and on top of me on the ground and that's all. So I want to keep everything the same. I think the only thing I want to change is the weight cut, and that's what I've done. So, you know.
You mentioned the main event on that card, Nate Diaz versus Jorge Masvidal. How do you see that one going? And does having that fight as the main event light a fire in you even more to kind of steal the show?
Yeah, I think me and Kelvin will steal the show, but also, you know, Nate Diaz is a cardio king, but he doesn't possess the power I've got. So I don't know if Nate will knock Masvidal out, because I hit Masvidal with a stunning left hand. He said he was like sort of knocked out on the ground, but you know, he still survived. So I feel like that fight could be a 5-round war as well. So I feel like the co-main and the main both could be show stealers, but you know, obviously with the main event, that'll be the talk of the town. But as I said, listen, just to see my face up there, you know, I've got no negativity towards Masvidal at all. You know, if he's making millions, if he's doing, fair play to him. You know, since that fight we've had, he's only gone bigger, and I'm happy to have helped him with that. You know, even if it was what was the downside to me. But you know, I just can't wait to fight and then see them two fight. I'll be back in the green room watching them two fight as a fan of the fight game.
How important was it taking that time out after UFC London and not just jumping back in there purely to avenge a loss? I'm not saying the loss against Masvidal, but to get another win in the column.
I don't know. It was good. You know, I kept on training, robbed a few taxis and that, and you know, I just had time off from life. I just, you know, was still in the zone. I just wanted to find, people say, you know, I just wanted to find what I wanted a bit more, you know, because obviously I was a bit off in training and that, you know, it's hard I haven't lost a fight since I was 16. I've been sort of like the top dog everywhere. No one's been able to beat me. And then to come from, you know, 2 losses on the big stage, it does hurt. So I just had to like step back a bit, and I think more when I get doubted and the challenge is bigger, that's what excites me. So when like it was lingering to be able to fight Kelvin, I think it fired me up more because of how many like people, I think like 90% of people are just doubting me, and that lights a fire in my belly. It sort of reminds me of when I fought Cowboy, you know. So it lit a little fire under my belly.
Darren, talking about your body transformation again, or progress, we should call it. I spoke to Darren Stewart this week, and he was saying that he'd had nutritionists and, you know, strength and conditioning and stuff. In between London and now, was there the temptation to do all of that, or, you know, to kind of rewrite it? You sound like you had the idea anyway.
Like, what? Sorry, I don't understand the question.
In terms of how you were going to get to this, you know, you were moving up to middle. Did you want to change things? Were you going to get a nutritionist? Did you really think about it that deep?
Not really. I think just instead of eating 1 cheeseburger, I eat 2. So, you know, I didn't put much thought into it. I go to obviously Colin for every piece of advice, and yeah, I was always big for middleweight, so I was probably walking around at a middleweight, fighting at welter. So as I say, the changes was only just like a little bit of strength and, you know, just little tweaks instead of. I know that Brian Ortega, you know, I get on well with him, is just recently like changed up his whole camp, I've heard, and you know that's probably best for him. But after like people lose, like AJ lost to Ruiz, people were telling him to sack his trainer and that, and it's, you know what? Don't get me started. I'll go on a rant. It just fucking pisses me off because it's like the grass is always greener on the other side, and people are just so fucking disloyal, and I'm not. As I've said from the start, I believe in my team, and we win together and we lose together, and they believe in me. So, you know, little small changes is what I think is needed in every fighter, you know. So all this, like, you know, when you lose, oh, that needs to be changed and that. Maybe you need to change. Maybe you're the problem. You know, you hear of some guys, they've had like 10 different gyms in the past 5 years. In my eyes, they're the problem, not the gyms. So it's like, you know, only little things needed to be changed.
And when you stepped up, well, you said it yourself, everyone said for so long, oh, he's such a big welter, and you know, when is he going to move up and whatnot. What made it the right time? And what was the allure to finally move up?
Kelvin, just like the challenge, like, because I was sort of thinking, oh, well, I can make welterweight if I kill myself, if I struggle, but then I'm a middleweight, and then, you know, it was back and forth, and Ariel Helwani asked me a lot of questions, and then the Kelvin fight, I was just like, oh, do you know what, there's nothing to lose yet, you know, I don't mind taking a smack in the mouth, so why would I not want to take the fight? Probably all the fighters would not take it because, oh, it'd be my 3rd loss, you know what, I don't think like that, I just really don't think like that, honestly. It's like a situation, it's like do or die for me, and whether you think I'm going to win or lose, there's no one in this room or on this planet who can not respect me for taking the fight.
Yeah, mentally, obviously coming back from the 2 losses, you know, that's obviously mentally as important as anything in this game. Was there a temptation where you think, oh, I've got unfinished business at welter, or was there any of that, or how was Dana White? What was his take on it?
I still have unfinished business at welterweight, so let me play out this next year. Let me see if I get the Anfield fight. You know, I'm not looking past Calvin, but let me see what happens this year. You know, I've still got a few names at welterweight who I want to take out, so it's not impossible to go back down. I can do it. You know, no one cuts weight like me, no one, so I can do it. You know, so to answer it really, I still have unfinished business.
I know you said you're not going to really focus on the middleweight title picture, but what did you make of Stylebender against Whittaker? What did you make of his performance?
I just didn't expect it. I just thought that Whittaker was, because I'd seen the 2 fights with Yoel, but then again, people say that after fighting Yoel, you're not the same. So, you know, I'm glad I'm not fighting him, because he's a scary dude. But it was phenomenal. I couldn't say any more. Goodness to him. We actually speak. We speak nearly every week. Me and Israel. You know, we've got a good relationship. Doesn't change the fact I still want to punch a hole in his face, and he does to me. But unbelievable. And now I've seen he just buying like a supercar and stuff like that. As I said, same thing to Masvidal. Nothing but. There's only a few guys in the UFC who I just think you're a prick. The rest have got no animosity. If they're making 100 million or whatever, why should I hate? I should aspire to get that and be like that. You know, it should motivate me as well.
And obviously, this is your first non-main event in nearly 2 years. And obviously, you're training for a 3-round fight now. How have you tweaked your training just for a 3-round fight, or is it just been training for 5 rounds as usual?
Yeah, it's been like sort of in between. Usually, I remember for the Woodley fight, the fittest I've ever been. Me and Colin, you know, after a run and before training, we're doing 10-5s on pads. So now obviously there's less rounds, but still at the same time, you know, we're doing, you know, double of what the fight is in rounds wise, sparring and pads and stuff like that. So, you know, it's still sort of the same, but in your mind, every fighter will probably agree. It's just like, oh, I don't have to go them 5, you know, and it's 3. You can actually go 3 5s and you can go all out. So no, that's why I know it's going to be a good fight.
Talk about guys that you might have unfinished business with at welterweight. I'm guessing that Colby Covington's one of them. He's the most divisive guy in the sport right now.
Not really. Me and him we had a little bit of chatter, but never really crossed paths. I feel like he's on a totally different path. I feel like that fight with Usman was always a fight I wanted. As much as a lot of people tried to avoid him, that was a fight I wanted to get. And obviously with him being the champ now, and you know, you never say never. You know, Masvidal, maybe I could get back at him. I think by the time I've gone through all what I'm going through now and whatever, Woodley will probably be maybe retired or whatever. I don't see him staying around much longer. But like, yeah, there's a few unfinished businesses.
Never antagonised you at all or irritated you in anything that you said? Maybe it's not been directed at you, but...
Do you know what? Really, I'm just not as stupid as everyone else. It's just an act. Everyone else is just...
If you were on the receiving end of it though,
I could not. If you heard the conversations I have with my friends, you'd know that stuff like what he says just really wouldn't affect me. It's like, I just know that's just an act, so I don't... Obviously for the fans and building fights up, it's great, but as a fighter, if you take what he says personal, you've got a lot of issues with yourself. So yeah, if we ever fight, I'll build a fight and I'll call him names, and you know, I'm not like other fighters. I wouldn't push him. If he ever said something funny, I'd smack his jaw straight off. But that's that. You know, I would never take anything personally he says, because to be totally honest, words don't really affect me.
Sorry. What is in Nottingham and what have you made of what they've got here?
I heard that they do a lovely 5 guys, so I've come to check out. Yeah. But it's UFC gym, obviously, you know, it's unbelievable facility, and the UFC got in touch with me and asked me if I'd like to come down and do a bit of training, you know, obviously promote the gym and get all the media down. So, you know, here I am, and you know, I'm going to enjoy the few hours that we're here, enjoy the training, enjoy the facility, and you know, that's it really.
Who do you think is going to win out of Colby and Usman?
I think if you put them both together, they're the same fighter. But Usman is a bit... Look at Dan agreeing. You know, is this the fight we're agreeing for once? Yeah. I think Usman has got everything that Colby has, just a bit better. I think he's got more power. I think... I don't know who's got the bigger gas tank. I know that Colby has got an unbelievable gas tank. So I think Usman just edges it. But... You know, when I look like what he'd done to Laura, a lot of people said Laura wasn't the same. I don't feel like that. I feel like Colby was just too much for Laura. So when you break a fight down, this is going back to that question. Because people hate Colby so much and take what he says so personal, they just want Usman to win. They're not looking as Colby. Colby's actually a terrific fighter. So if they forget all the fucking bullshit he says because he's just an idiot, he's actually a terrific fighter.
Obviously, you're going into. Cheers, obviously, you're going into this fight on the back of 2 losses. You're going into this fight on consecutive losses, and there was a bit of a social media backlash. You know how some MMA fans are kind of fickle and they turn. What's your message to these doubters, to everybody who's doubting you ahead of this tough fight with Kelvin?
You know what? You know, as soon as I beat Kelvin and I get on that mic, make sure your camera's rolling because you'll know what I have to say. I'm not going to say it now, but I've got stuff to say to a lot of people. To a lot of people who don't believe in me and are so quick to turn their backs. And they know who they are. And a lot of the casuals know who they are, and I certainly know who they are. So make sure the camera's rolling when that mic gets put to me and my hands raised.
How do you see yourself finishing the fight?
Hopefully he just doesn't turn up and my hand gets raised. You know, that'd be the perfect.
All right, thanks guys.
Yeah, thanks.
Right, we're going to put Colin in.